Namaskar to everyone. My name is A'ca'rya Satyamitra'nanda Avt. Today I will say something about Raja Yoga, the so-called Ashtanga Yoga as it is presented by Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras. And this the system of Ashtanga Yoga is older than the Yoga Sutras, of course. So they're more than 2,000 years old. And I have personally practiced this system for more than 30 years, and that I'm A'ca'rya means I'm also a teacher of the same. So I'm also a teacher of Ashtanga Yoga. To understand Ashtanga Yoga, one need to. It's important that we clarify the meaning of the word yoga, because there may still be some confusion about that. I think it's quite much accepted today that yoga means a unification. But my experience is that there are still very much confusion about what is being unified with what. And maybe one of the reasons is that in Patanjali's sutras, in his Yoga Sutras, he don't state very clearly what is being unified with what. He say yogash chitta vritti nirodha, which means that yoga unification happens when the vrittis of the chitta, that means the tendency of the mind, the emotions of the mind is suspended, is made completely quiet. To say in a different word, yoga unification happens when the mind is completely suspended. It means it's completely quiet. To experience that supreme, the presence of the supreme, one's oneness with the supreme mind has to be completely silent. So it's not disturbed by anything. So it's not colored by any of the vibration of the world. Because the supreme, the pure aspect of the supreme has no vibration. It's completely pure, it has no vibration. So to experience that, we have to get into a state of completely no vibration. It may not be enough just to make the mind completely quiet. Because if we, for example, have an accident, if we become unconscious, do we get into samadhi? Do we experience the supreme if we are unconscious? No, we do not. So it is not enough just to make the mind completely suspended. The mind must also be directed towards the supreme. There must be a direction. And this is where Ashtanga Yoga, or the so-called Raja Yoga, helps us. But back to where I came from. What is being unified with what? That's what we need to clarify. And here we can see from both the Tantras and the Vedas, they agree on this. It is, in the Tantras it said, Sam yogo ityukto jivatman paramatmana. It means yoga unification is when the Jiv Atman, the small soul, the individual soul, merges into the infinite cosmic, into the supreme soul. That is yoga. So yoga is not just unification of body and mind. It is much more than that. Body and mind needs to be in balance, needs to be harmony. But yoga is the unification with the individual and the infinite supreme. And that is what the system of Ashtanga Yoga is doing. The system of Ashtanga Yoga is excellent in achieving this unification. So, Ashtanga Yoga have 8 different elements. Ashta means 8, number 8, Ashta 8. So there's 8 limbs, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So there's the 8 limbs. And each of them play a certain role, play a certain importance to reach to that unification. The last element is called Samadhi. That is where the mind is absorbed into that supreme. The small consciousness, the Jiv Atman is merged into the Paramatman. But to do that, one have to meditate. It is through meditation we go into that state of yoga, we go into that state of unification. It is through meditation that happens. And to be able to reach that samadhi through meditation, the mind have to become completely quiet, completely silent. And that's what I want to focus on today. Because all the 6 first elements, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, these elements is essential for creating that peace of mind that is necessary to go into samadhi. So I will say a little bit about that. The first element is the yama. And I don't have time to go into each of the 5 yamas. There are 5 yamas. That's ahimsa, satya, asteya, aparigraha, and brahmacharya. But to simplify it, these are ahimsa, satya, asteya. These are morality. Ahimsa, not to do any harm to anyone. Satya, speak the truth. Asteya, don't take something that don't belong to you, don't steal anything. So this is basic morality. You know, we have an inborn conscience that we know automatically what is right actions to do. We have a clear understanding about that. If we go against that, if we speak lies, if we tell truth, we think about doing harm to others, that creates a certain vibration in the mind, a certain restlessness in the mind. We know we are doing something wrong. We know we go against natural tendencies of the mind. That creates a certain vibration in the mind. And when that vibration is in the mind, it will remain in the mind. And when we sit down and try to meditate, those vibrations disturbs the mind. We cannot create a completely peace of mind that is essential for going into the state of samadhi, to experience the supreme, the ananda, the blissful state. So that's why it is absolutely essential to follow the principles of yama, to have success in meditation. And the next limb is the niyamas. The niyamas is socha, cleanliness, santosa, contentment, peace of mind, mental contentment, tapa, to do service, svadhyaya, to study scriptures, and Ishvara Pranidhan, to Ishvara is the supreme, is the Brahma, is the supreme being, and Pranidhan means to move closer to it. So it's also essential to follow these to create the necessary peace of mind. The first one is socha, cleanliness. For example, if we don't follow cleanliness, the body gets too hot. If the body is not cleaned, sweat is piling up. If the body is sweat, the body is hot. When the body is hot, we cannot concentrate in meditation. If the environment, the house is not clean, the clothes is not clean, germs is there, smell will come, etc. The body will itch. Mind cannot concentrate. So all the niyamas too need to be followed very thoroughly, strictly, to have success in meditation. It is said, without yama niyama, sadhana is impossible. Meditation, dhyana is impossible. So this is important to understand. So one need to study the yamas and niyamas. One need to understand their inner significance. And I don't have time today. It is a bit short of time, so I just go briefly over it. But I will really recommend all of you to study. And there's one excellent book by the modern tantric guru Shrii Shrii Anandamurti, which is known as A Guide to Human Conduct. A Guide to Human Conduct. And this book you can find on Amazon or so on. I don't get commission from this. So this is a book I can recommend to understand the depth of yama niyama. I'm sure there are many other good books about it. So then we come to the third, asana. And asana, you know, in the past, if you go way back in the past, asana was not so much practiced by yogis. It was especially in the Middle Age when this one tradition is the Nath yogis, the Nath Panch, the Nath tradition, which started with Guru Matsyendranath and his disciple Goraknath and so on. These were avadutas like myself, and they did much meditation, and they realized that it is not so easy to do meditation. It's not so easy to achieve that peace of mind that is necessary. So they started to develop the asana. They realized that through asana practice, one gained control over the nervous system, one can strengthen the nervous system, and one gain control over the hormone balance. Then one gain control over the mind. If the nerves is weak, it creates restlessness in the mind. If the hormone secretion is not balanced, it creates restlessness in the mind. It creates the so-called vrittis that Patanjali is talking about. Yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. The vrittis, the tendencies of the mind, cannot be controlled without proper practice of asana. So they developed asana very much, this Matsyendranath and his tradition. And later on, this developed into the system of Hatha Yoga. And these guys were the one who wrote the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which has become a very important yogic text today. So in modern time, of course, asana has been very, very much popularized. And I want to use the opportunity to say that we have to get beyond that point where yoga is equivalent to asana. This is important. The whole world think yoga is asana, and I think it's important we start to clarify this for the world. Asana is one element of yoga, one of the 8 elements of Ashtanga yoga. And not yoga is not, asana is not the ultimate aspect of yoga. So through asana, we gain control over the mind so that we can meditate. And then we come to the 4th limb, pranayama. And pranayama, prana is the life force. Prana keeps us alive. The definition of life is that there is prana in the body, and the prana we can say that there's prana in the body. When a person dies, the definition of death is that prana leaves the body. There is, in the tantric scriptures, this defined 10 different pranas. I will not go into detail about them now, but to say it simplified, these pranas control the heartbeat, control digestion, control elimination of urine and stool, control our capacity to contract and expand, control our vocal cord. We use prana to change the vocal cord so that we can speak, and so on. So yama means to control. So pranayama means to take control over the pranas. So this is something very, very serious. If we take control over the pranas, we need to know what we are doing. Anyway, that's a little bit different topic. But when the prana is just moving in an uncontrolled way, it will stimulate the glands to over-secrete hormones or under-secrete hormones, and that means the mind is restless. So pranayama is used to control the movement of prana, so it is not disturbing the glands to activate the so-called vrittis. So pranayama is an exercise to get peace over the mind. And pranayama must be practiced in a very systematic way. It is a special system for pranayama. In the morning, pranayama is done with concentration on one specific chakra, in the noontime on a different chakra, in the evening on a different chakra, and in the night it's concentrated on a different chakra. And it should go also with a special mantra. So that means the mantra helps us to contemplate on the Supreme Consciousness. So pranayama is important to practice in a very systematic way. And the way it is done today, that any yoga teacher just teach pranayama, advanced level of pranayama in the yoga classes, this is something the world needs to understand, that have certain risks. I have myself seen that people that practice pranayama, they get serious digestive problems, heart problems, irregularities of the heartbeat, and so on, because they're not following proper system of pranayama. So this is something also that's important to understand. And when this is done, when one follows yama niyama, proper system of yama niyama, proper system of asana, of pranayama, then one starts to gain a certain peace of the mind. And then the next limb is pratyahara, to withdraw the mind. So then one practices the pratyahara, one withdraw the mind from the external world, withdraw the mind from all the sounds, the smell, the influences from the external world, and then mind becomes even calmer. And then one go to the next stage of Ashtanga Yoga, dharana. That means mind is focused on one point, so that the mind is not roaming around. Fix the mind on one point, that's called dharana. And then one can start the meditation, the dhyana. And when this is followed proper in a very systematic way, mind becomes very focused and concentrated, and we can go very deep into meditation, and mind becomes so quiet that we enter into the state of samadhi, and we experience the Supreme Being. We feel the oneness, we feel the love, we feel the closeness, the personal touch with Paramapurusha, with Brahma.